It was a dark day. Well, the sun was shining. Most people would say it was a bright, happy day. But to me it was dark. Not sad or anything along those lines. Just not quite right. I was on vacation leave. Life wasn't treating me well, or at least it felt like it wasn't. I was tired of everything, and all I wanted was peace and knowledge. Life is dull, people are dull, work is dull, colors are dull, existence itself felt dull. Hence why I upped and left. I gave my notice to work, locked my small apartment up, and went on a trip. I went to an obscure place, the Lake District in England. I had always wanted to go there. The misty mountains carrying quiet, almost deathly still lakes and their accompanying a little village. A small area that seemed so grand in the pictures. But once I had gotten there, it too was dull. I told myself I was on break. I need to make use of this time. I thought I could solve the deepest philosophical questions that no one had the right answers to, while walking and hiking in this quiet, picturesque place. I believed that I was so profoundly intelligent that I could solve everything myself, meditate on it all, grasp the knowledge and utilize it to my benefit. Of course, some part of me knew that it was hubris and narcissism, traits I hated in others and still hate in myself. However, I thought I could have it all. And so on this holiday of mine, I had been on many walks, up mountains, around the exterior of the lakes, and around the small town that accompanied it. I had come up with nothing, only further self-realization into my need for it all to end. However, on this day, that was neither gloomy nor bright, profound nor normal, I had a conversation that I couldn't explain. I had gone for another walk, this time exploring the open farm trails. The trail looked down on the village from a mountain, or hill, that sat beside the village, very close to its lake. The path was muddy, the grass was a dark yet lush green. The trees too had a dark yet lush and healthy tone to them. Walking up this trail, I realized the dull, muted tones of where I lived, where the grass was dry and the trees flaky. It was one of the nicest walks I had been on while I was here. As I walked, I came upon a tree that stood differently from the rest. Sat beside the path, this tree, large in girth and height, stood, its leafless branches hanging from all directions, water droplets from the previous night's rain still clinging to them. Underneath the tree was a bench. On it sat an old man, not an uncommon sight in this place. Elderly people, friends, partners, or maybe on their own, they all came to the trails for their walks or to survey their land. But this man seemed different. He was seated slumped back with bad posture, facing down at the town, wearing dirty farm overalls and steel-capped boots. He had no expression on his face. He just sat there, as if he was neither dead nor alive, here nor there. I had never spoken to any others on my walks, only nodding my head and saying hello when interacted with first. But this time I felt some need to check on him and speak to him. As I walked over him, he turned and looked at me. He seemed familiar, although he had no face, or at least no face I could comprehend. He nodded and said in a deep, soft voice, with an English accent, "Care to join me, son?" I obliged and sat next to him. I thought to myself, maybe I should check to see if he's okay. He seemed almost sad, as if he was like me. I turned slightly towards him to ask, as he cut me off suddenly, "You seem lost, boy. What's brought you here?" I was slightly shocked in my head, taken aback by the cryptic question and tone. However, my face remained still. "Oh?" I replied. "I'm not lost, sir, merely on my morning walk." Still silent and composed, he responded, "No, I meant you. You're neither here nor there, neither dead nor alive." He took a slow breath. Everyone can tell. A young man comes here by himself to the ends of nowhere to ask life for its answers. Always the same story. This time, with a visible reaction, I took my head back slightly. Any feeling of individuality and self-importance crushed in an instant. "Am I really that easy to read?" I asked aloud. He responded sarcastically, "No. However, I was clearly correct." I chuckled at the comment. The mood was lighter now. He asked what I did for work. I told him I'm a publisher working for a big agency. He asked why, and I told him that I had a dream of being a writer, and I became a publisher to have an in to publish my own books. He asked in a curious yet soft, aloof tone whether I have written and published many books. I told him I had, a lie I have told many people many times. I have still yet to finish my first book, a book I've been working on for years now. I don't know if my lie was obvious or whether or not people realized I was ashamed of my lack of drive for my own dream, yet I kept the conversation going. I assume you're a farmer, correct? That's right. I have a small farm with my wife. We make enough to live comfortably and to give our children, who left this place a long time ago. He told me with a sad demeanor, both of us still looking out at the view. They come and visit my wife and I. They bring their kids, and we have a meal. We go for walks and talk, enjoying the peace of this place. He looked at me for a small second. Noticing my sadness, he asked, "Do you have a family? People you love? A place to go?" "No," I replied with small hesitation. I lost my touch with my family. I don't have anyone I love, and I really have no home. My family don't want to speak to me. As such, I can't go home. I haven't gone back for a long time now. I'm not in a relationship. I've been so focused on my work and my want for creative fulfillment, I guess I pushed it all away when I pursued that. I stopped myself there. My pretentious and self-righteous rant. I felt stupid telling this stranger. Truth is, I can't imagine myself happy. I can't see myself living the life I want. I only know that I want it. I want everything, yet I'm still... You know, life is beautiful when you stop a while. He cuts me off, suddenly slightly energetic. Maybe he finds my ignorance and pretentious mindset entertaining. He continued. Terrible, cruel, boring, filled with nasty, nasty things, and yet still beautiful. Why do you think people like yourself come to a place like this? To try and capture the amazing feelings you lost when you were a child, the amazement and curiosity of something untouched by life's redundant, repetitive mundaneness. You are so obsessed with work and your day-to-day life, you haven't stopped to do anything worthwhile. I bet you haven't even written a book. Am I right? He said. I nodded. He slightly smiles and chuckles. There we go. You don't need to lie to me, son. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care enough to. Just don't lie to yourself. It's pitiful. When was the last time you looked at the sky? When was the last time you wrote a word of your book? When was the last time you cried? When was the last time you got hurt? When was the last time you were inspired? His tone became harsher and yet lighter in mood. No more fronts were being put up. You never realized that in order to achieve your goals and to be happy and be at peace, you need to live life. I was struck. This man who seemed so aloof, neither here nor there, dead nor alive, suddenly had so much life. And he was right. The wind felt harder. The sun peeked through the clouds. God rays fell lazily on the town and the lake. The trees gained their color, and the reflections of the mountains on the lake came to life, as if agreeing melancholic-like with this man. A slight crescendo on this cold day. I looked to the old man. He had a face. He was here. He was alive. The look in his eyes as they wandered about the scenery in front of us was pure melancholic awe. I didn't know what to say. I felt inspired and yet I felt stupid. How could I, with my ego and belief in my own wisdom and intelligence, not realize something so simple? There's always more to learn, he interprets my thoughts. No matter how wise and smart you think you are, there will always be more. He looked at me, gave me a pleasant, meaningful smile, and stood, grunting ever so slightly, dusted himself off, and turned to me. Go live a life worth living, and don't come back till you are living it. He turned and started off down the muddy trail, hands in pockets. I watched the man walk for a while, the God rays falling on the hills, making the trees glisten, the cold wind dancing around my seat. I thought to myself, such a simple solution to a lifetime of problems, and yet it was still the correct answer. The following day, I went home, back to my apartment. It didn't seem as dark as it did when I left. nor did the view seem as dull as it once was. I realized then all I'd have to do is start living my life.